Hey, good morning and welcome back to the Soak Channel. That's SOAK, Son of a King, Son of the Most High God. Hey everyone, good morning. I'm not sure exactly about everything that I want to discuss this morning. However, in doing my morning devotion, I thought it would be fitting based on what I was reading. in, excuse me, in the scriptures this morning. I thought it might be fitting for me to discuss some of it. Many of you all know that I had been hospitalized, and uh, so again, also forgive me because I may be coughing a lot based on what happened to me. Nevertheless, some of you all know um, that I was hospitalized, and for my family members who are probably going to see this right here, forgive me. I didn't mention a lot of it to a lot of people, whatever the case may be. Although obviously the people on my job had to know because I had to be off, and people got to wondering what happened to me and things of that nature. Uh, I don't know, why things happen the way that they do. But sometimes, maybe it could be God intervening. I don't know if he was intervening or whatever the case may be, but I felt like he was. And, you know, uh, I just continued to just trust in him, and so I wanted to talk about that a little bit this morning. Uh, you know, and just to give you a little insight about what happened. Uh, I was at home and feeling some type of way one day. I thought it was that couch I got in there, and because that couch sometimes, it frustrates me a little bit at times, and sometimes I feel a little stiff or whatever the case may be. So I was thinking it was something that was muscular. Then I started thinking it was pleurisy. I've had pleurisy before, and you try to take a breath or whatever because it's the inflammation that's in the lining of your thoracic cavity, outside your lungs, etc., etc. Nevertheless, it's just inflammation, So you can't take a deep breath, you'll feel a sharp pain, and so I started feeling that pain, and I waited a little minute, and then uh, uh, just noticed I was not able to catch my breath. And so again, I thought again that it was maybe some pleurisy or whatever. Well, fast forward, I was getting winded and things of that nature, and I wind up, working. I was working at Atlanta Technical College, and I was teaching class, and kept getting out of breath, and my students was like, "Mr. Counselor, are you okay?" And I was like, "I hope so." I said, "Tell you what, y'all take a break. Let's all go to take a restroom break or whatever, and we'll come back." So I decided to go upstairs to the restroom, and as I got upstairs, I noticed that I couldn't hardly breathe, and just short of breath. And I'm never really short of breath just going up some stairs. I'm pretty active and things of that nature. So I came back downstairs, and I was like, "Yeah, something's not right." And I went back and I continued to teach the class, and finished out the class that evening. So I called my wife and told her, "Hey, something's not right. I probably need to go to the hospital." And so she was like, "Okay, well, you can come pick us up, blah blah blah." And I told my wife, "No, you guys, stay home. I'm just gonna go and you know, I'm gonna go and go straight to the hospital." And she was like, "No, no, no, just come and pick us up." Well, I was worried about the child, my baby daughter going to school and her being taken out of school. And I was like, "No." She was like, "No, come and get her. She'll be okay, blah, blah, blah." So I said, "All right," so I drove home, picked them up, and went to the hospital. Immediately I got to the hospital. It must have been God because I got to the hospital and saw all those people there, and I knew how the system works as far as being triaged. Typically, if you're not dying or anything like that, there, with your vital signs being the way that they are, etc., they're going to triage you and you're going to be sitting in there quite a while. So I went there and got there and saw those people. I was like, I'll tell you what, it's probably nothing, man. It's probably just, my muscles or something or whatever. It's probably something that'll probably dissipate. Now, my intention was to go to work the next day because my shift was the next morning. And I, decided to get ready to go back home. And my wife was like, no, just go in there and get checked in, blah, 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 this and that, the other. So I, humbled myself, listened to my wife, and went inside and got registered. Well, fast forward, after going back and forth, coming back, they checking my blood pressure and things of that nature. They decided to do one more check. And then they ran some of this fluid in me in order to take a look at my arteries and veins, etc., and put me through the CT scan. They found 2 bilateral clots in my lungs. And so that's something that's very serious for you all in the medical field. And for you all maybe who's not in the medical field that's heard about that. Anybody know when you're dealing with clots, that's something serious. Nevertheless, at that particular moment, I just said, okay, well, I guess we'll have to deal with it, whatever it is that it is that we're having to deal with. And, they admitted me into the hospital. And so I was there. Seemed like it was getting progressively worse because I didn't know what was happening at the time, but I had also developed pneumonia, and I'm assuming it's, it was all part of that process. Not saying that you catch pneumonia all the time with this thing, with the PE, the pulmonary embolisms, but I developed it, Then on top of that, I developed sepsis on top of that. And so, it was getting worse. It seemed, so they started doing their little interventions and things of that nature. Then they started giving me fluid, but they were overloading me with fluid and I couldn't hardly breathe, I felt like I was just in so much pain and couldn't breathe. But I say all that to say this here. I'm not absolutely sure on why things happen the way that they do, because they ask me themselves, do you smoke? I don't smoke. Do you drink? I don't drink really, just occasionally. Do you exercise regularly? I do all those things. Only thing I could think about maybe possibly is my family history or whatever the case may be. But I thought maybe it's God telling me, hey, you need to sit down somewhere, right? I'm not sure if that's what he was doing, but I felt like that's what he was telling me in this whole interim, and get my vision or focus back on him. Now, indeed, you guys see me online here, and you see me doing the soap channel and with these posts and things of that nature. But I'm telling you, I'm running and gunning all the time at the fire department. Working my other part-time job at the GBI and teaching at school, trying to deal stuff with my family, whatever the case may be. And maybe I've had gotten a little distant from God, just randomly from time to time doing my podcast here. And maybe God is saying, hey man, look, you obviously it's commendable what it is that you're doing, but you need to make sure that you're still focused on me, because if it's not for me, you wouldn't be doing all those things. So don't get so carried away and get so into everything that it is that you're doing that you're not focusing on me. I know your heart. I know who you are, and I know what you're capable of. And so you need to focus on me more so. Maybe because, your time is drawing near. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not, but in some shape, form, or fashion, all of our time is drawing near, whether it's him coming back or us not being here long, right? And so I had told God, even in casual conversation in my relationship with him, that I felt like at times that I wasn't, as into him as I probably wanted to be, right? And that's an intimate conversation that I had with him. And so maybe he answered my prayer to get me back focused, because he sat me down, right? Sat me down. I'm talking about I was down and out. And I can't necessarily say that I was afraid, more so that I was just thankful. And the reason that I was thankful was because I knew all that he had done for me. And even though there were times it feels like of despair, maybe there was some fear in there. I don't know. I just felt like at this time, I felt like, I don't know, it was just thankfulness, in that storm, okay? And I say all that because of what, and we're talking about fear and what I came across this morning. And what it says here, and this is the passage I want to leave you with this morning, it says that think back to a time when you were genuinely scared. As much as we prefer to never experience fear, fear is a part of the human experience. But when we are afraid, we have options. We can panic, stress, get overwhelmed with worry, overthink worst case scenarios, and attempt to numb out the anxiety-inducing situations around us in unhealthy ways. Or we can echo David's words. All right, this is King David. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. That's Psalms 56:3. Something worth noting is that these words were penned after David had been captured by the Philistines. He was being harassed by his enemies and was scared for his life. But David refused to settle for scared. He resisted the urge to let fear have the final say. He decided to fight back with truth, and so can we. We never have to fight alone, right? God has given us something more powerful than ordinary weapons. He's given us His Word, His Spirit, and His people. Even when we don't have access to the perfect inspirational sermon or a timely word of encouragement, we can pause and remember the truth, okay? That God fights for us. He's with us and He'll never leave us. When we shift our minds from overwhelming fear to God's overwhelming faithfulness, everything changes. So today, if you're scared, anxious, terrified, overwhelmed, or uncertain, speak this out loud. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. So, I think for me, when I was, obviously I was a little anxious, right? Because I can't breathe. Maybe a little scared, maybe a little overwhelmed. I had so many mixed feelings, but one thing that was the most overwhelming was I was just thankful. I was so thankful because I had knew God had already done so much for me, right? At this particular point, excuse me, still having some of the symptoms and stuff from the thing. Got me on this medication now and trying to get rid of the pneumonia. So we might have antibiotic and things of that nature, but excuse me about that. But at this particular point in my life, I've outlived my father, outlived my mother, and at times there were times where I thought that, when I got close to their age, I was going to be next, Now, what does that mean? What do I mean by all that? In my particular situation, I'm just thankful, right? I am just thankful. And so, in spite of those things that I was dealing with, in spite of being in the hospital as long as I was in there, I was just overwhelmed with thankfulness and gratitude because I know God had been so good to me. And I didn't want to feel sorry for myself or anything because I felt even in that moment or those moments, there were many people who were going through so much more than what I was going through with. I didn't want to feel sorry for myself. I didn't want to say, Lord, why me? Because my thought was, well, why not you? Who are you? Who are you? Where you think you shouldn't get sick? Yeah, you do a couple of good things here and there. You do you encourage folks and things of that nature. Okay. Well, maybe your faith needs to be tested as well. So who are you that you can't get sick and that I can't sit you down or whatever it is that God was planning for me? I'm telling you right now, it didn't matter, because whatever it was, I was still going to trust in him. I'm telling you, it was one point where I couldn't breathe. And I had a friend that was there, and he was telling me to calm down, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't catch my breath, and I was tearing up. And I wasn't tearing up because I was afraid at that time. I just wanted to say something, and it was boiling in my stomach, and it was I just wanted to just blurt it out. And he was like, calm down, take it easy. And he was sitting on the side of the bed, and he was holding my hand, and I was trying to catch my breath. And I just finally was able to muster up enough strength, and tears was just rolling down my face, and I was just like, and I screamed it out, hallelujah, hallelujah. That's what I wanted to say at that time. I just wanted to say hallelujah, because I had felt in that moment, at that particular time, that if, like the movie says in The Chosen, I felt like at that moment, if I couldn't take another breath, if I couldn't stand one more day, I truly felt in my heart that all God had done for me up until that point, it would have been enough. It would have been enough. And so I was just thankful. So I encourage you all to continue to trust in the Lord. Continue to put your faith in him, no matter what it is. I am currently in recovery right now, so I'm having to wait to see the pulmonologist again and the hematologist, and then after that, maybe I'll be able to determine when I'm going back to work. But I wanted to say that all you all who knew about my situation and all you all who said prayers for me, thank you all so much. I'm just thankful. Thank you all for praying for me and keeping me during this particular time. So I just want to leave you with a little bit of that this morning. You're afraid, if you have anxiety, you don't know what's going to happen. Hey, continue to trust in the Lord. That's where we need to have our focus at many times, is to focus on him. It would be no different than Peter in that boat, right? All the chaos, he was fine as long as he was focused on Jesus. But it wasn't until he started looking around at all the chaos around him and the water and the troubles and things of that nature. Well, that's like what's going on in our society today, or in our world, in our land, in our United States and all over. There's just so much chaos going on. And so we just have to remember, just for us to keep our focus and mind on the Lord. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for logging back into the Soul Channel. Please share, like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you like. I just want to leave you with that this morning. I hope that you are able to find some encouragement by these words. And yeah, let's just, continue to focus on God. I don't know when he's coming back. The scriptures talk about when he's, no man know not the hour, right? Not even but so much about him coming back. What about if he calls you home tomorrow, today, right? Are you ready? Are we ready? Yes, it's hard every day to fight and deal with what's going on in your flesh and all these things that are going on around you. But you got to do your best and pick up that cross and try to walk with him every day. I'm telling you, that's where it's at. And it is nowhere else. Trust and believe me when I tell you. So, guys, once again, I love you. Take care of yourselves. This is, again, the Soak Channel. That's SOAK. That's Son of the King, Son of the Most High God. Until next time, take care of yourselves. All right? I may post a couple of pictures on here. I'm not sure about how I'm able to do it, but I might be able to let you see some of the recovery or some of the points that I was when I was in the hospital. I'm not sure I can do it, but I'll try. Nevertheless, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Peace.